Let's get the show started so you guys, it's not that you're in a rush to go home, but I know you all are anxious to get to the after party, sponsored by Wayne Gross. I hope you all know that at the bar. Anyway, speaking of Wayne Gross, the Orange County Business Journal is proud to partner with our Diamond sponsor, Greenberg Gross. Please join me in welcoming our bar sponsor tonight and Diamond sponsor, Wayne Gross.
Good evening. Greenberg Gross is delighted to sponsor this amazing event, the purpose of which is to honor all of the nominees, not just those who walk up on the stage and are recognized this evening. The selection committee carefully reviewed all 50 nominations, and we were impressed, not just with the remarkable service that you perform for your companies, but by the many ways in which you and your companies give back to society. And so it's marvelous that Richard Reisman and his amazing staff at the Orange County Business Journal puts on an event of this magnitude annually to honor you. And what I'd like to do now is to give a round of applause to Richard and his amazing staff for creating this great event. The strength and relevance of this event is reflected in the number of former winners who routinely come to join us, not because they're looking to get recognition, they already got it. They're here to support you. And what I would like to do now is to thank and recognize them for coming here tonight to support the current nominees. And so I'm going to call them out by name, and I would ask that they stand up and that you reserve your applause, as difficult as that's going to be, until all of them are standing. Let's start with David Harshman from Toshiba America Information Systems. Where are you? Harshman, you're the man. All right, then let's go to John Alpay from Performance Design Products. John, you're the man too. How about Michael Barney from Palace Entertainment? Where's Michael? Daniel Burke from Pacific Dental Services. Robert Davis from Glaukos. David Goodwin from Mitsubishi. Ursula Guzman from CoreLogic. Victoria Harvey from Smile Brands. Chris Lau from Alteryx. Susie Lee from Toshiba America Electronic Components. The one and only John Page from Golden State Foods. And of course, Wendy Peterson from Kenobi. Her brother, no one knows this, but I'm telling you tonight, Mark Peterson from O'Melveny. Let's ask the entire staff of PIMCO's incredible legal department to stand up. They were previously recognized, the whole legal department. And of course, there's Michael Ray and his in-house legal team from Western Digital. Cindy Strauss and Jim Watson from St. Joseph Health. Jason Weintraub from BSH Home Appliances. Amy Weisner from Edwards Lifesciences. And last but certainly not least, Christina Zabit-Fran from St. Nick's. so that I can do something that's a bit emotional. Your master of ceremonies and my friend, and I'm honored to call him that, is about to get up here. And I'm a bit emotional because, as everyone knows, Erwin was able, with the help of many others, but he oversaw it. He was able to transform a startup law school in Orange County and create one of the most highly regarded law schools in the entire country in what seemed like a millisecond, which is obviously amazing, but if you know Erwin, not surprising. What was also not surprising was UC Berkeley's decision to tap him to become their dean, which of course meant that he would leave Orange County. One of our greatest treasures would depart, but he's still here. Not just tonight physically, he's still here every day in the sense that not just his former students at UCI and USC, but so many people, countless people tell me how much they have been impacted by Erwin. He not only makes us all better lawyers, he makes us better human beings because he is such an extraordinary being. And we are so fortunate to have him with us tonight. And I give you your Master of Ceremonies, Erwin Chemerinsky.
Thank you. Wayne, thank you so much for those incredibly kind words. I want to thank Richard Reisman for giving me the opportunity to be here again this year. I've told you the story in the past that the first year I did this, Richard came to my office the day before the event, sat on the couch in my office and said, "I want you to be funny tomorrow night." The second year I did this, he took me to Stango for lunch the day before the event. And he said, "You were okay last year, but I need you to be funnier tomorrow night." The third year I did this, he called me the day before and said, "I really need you to be funny this year." The last couple of years, no visit to my office, no lunch, no phone call, which means either I've passed or he's decided that I'm hopeless. Now, Richard and I often had lunch together, usually at Bastango, and he would always, at least by the end of lunch, remind me of my pledge and my prediction that UCI Law School was going to be in the top 20, and asked if I still believed it. And I always emphatically said I did. And since the last time I stood up here last spring, U.S. News and World Report ranked UCI Law School number 21 in the country. And when you think that UCLA is 17 and USC is 19, it's pretty good company. And we're joined tonight by Song Richardson, who's the new dean of UCI Law School. If I could ask Song to stand up. There is truly no one better in the country to lead UCI into the top 20 and even much higher in the rankings. I always so enjoy getting to come here each year. Being in Berkeley is very much a new adventure for me. And part of the adventure this semester is I'm teaching criminal procedure for the first time in about 25 years. And the great thing about criminal procedure is it lends itself to such great stories. If you remember from law school, there's always cases about police stops. I was going over one case with my students of a woman driver who was stopped for going 80 miles an hour in a 50-mile-an-hour zone. Police officer pulls over and asks to see her driver's license. She says, "I'm sorry, my license was suspended 5 years ago for driving under the influence." The officer then says, "Well, can I see the registration?" The driver apologized and said, "I'm sorry, this is a stolen car." Then the officer says, "Well, I now have probable cause. I need to look in the glove compartment in the trunk." The woman says, "I can't, because in the glove compartment's a gun and in the trunk are the dead bodies I shot." The officer realizes this is above his pay grade, so he calls for a higher level officer, and a lieutenant comes. And the lieutenant says to the woman, "I understand you're driving without a license." He says, that's not true. If you don't mind, I'll look in my purse and I can show you my license. The lieutenant is surprised to see it. The lieutenant then says, well, I was told you're driving a stolen car without a valid registration. And the woman says, if you look in the glove compartment, you'll see the registration is there. And sure, it was there. And then the officer says, and I was told you have dead bodies in the trunk. The woman says, there's nothing in the trunk but a spare tire. And the officer opens up, and there's nothing there but a spare tire. And the officer says, Lieutenant says, I really must apologize to my officer today. And the woman said, and I bet the liar told you I was going 80 in a 50-mile-an-hour zone, too. And of course, then there's the story of the criminal defense lawyer who was handling a murder case where the victim had never been found. And the lawyer said to the jury in closing argument, I'm going to count to 10. When I get to 10, the alleged victim is going to walk through the door. And the lawyer very slowly begins counting. And all eyes are fixed on the door. And when the lawyer gets to 10, no one walks through the door. But the lawyer says to the jury in closing argument, all of you stared at that door. That's enough to establish reasonable doubt. Well, the jury goes out to deliberate, and 10 minutes later it comes back with a verdict of murder in the first degree. And the lawyer goes to the jurors and says, I don't understand. All of you were staring at the door. That's reasonable doubt. And the juror said, yeah, but your client wasn't. Of course, I can't stand up here without telling some political jokes. It's difficult in these deeply divided partisan times. But you know how you can tell if it's a book written by Donald Trump? It starts with chapter 11. And you know they're coming up with a new candy bar named for Donald Trump. It's really rich and tasteless. So I've got to tell some Barack Obama jokes too. Starting with something that's true, you might have read in an interview that he's decided that he wants to buy an NBA team. Maybe that's so he can finally get somebody on the court. But I worry that it's going to be like his administration. They're going to travel a lot and not pass anything. Of course, in my field, constitutional law, the big development is the nomination and confirmation of Brett Kavanaugh. Did you know, and this is a true story, that long ago it was named that the day after those hearings, that Friday, was National Beer Day? There's something you just can't make up. Somebody counted, in 12 times, Brett Kavanaugh said during that Thursday afternoon that he likes beer. It's probably the only person in history to ever interview for a job, and that's really what this was, talking about how much he likes to drink beer. I have a Supreme Court argument coming up in January, and I'm going to resist the advice of my children to put a can of Budweiser on counsel table. And I always conclude by talking about people going to the doctor, and of course, Thanksgiving is coming up next week. I hope you all have a wonderful and meaningful holiday. Did you hear about the man who went into the doctor and said, Doctor, I'm addicted to Thanksgiving food? And the doctor said, well, you'll have to go cold turkey. And then there's the man who went to the doctor and said, I'm addicted to Twitter. And the doctor said, I'm sorry, I don't follow you. Okay, we should get to the awards. The first award is for the Outstanding General Counsel of a Public Company, and it's going to be presented by Lindsay Hulley. She is an intellectual property partner at Rattan & Tucker. She specializes in trademark and copyright litigation. She often represents clients between the United States Patent and Trademark Office, and she handles clients in a wide variety of different industries and businesses.
Thank you, Erwin, for that kind introduction. As Orange County's largest and full-service law firm, Rattan is proud to be a sponsor of tonight's event and excited to celebrate this occasion with so many colleagues, friends, and clients. Tonight's recipient of the Public Company General Counsel of the Year Award is truly impressive. Our honoree is a member of the C-suite of an S&P 500 company with a $23 billion enterprise value, and he's the longest-serving member of the company's executive team. In the past year, this General Counsel has led the process to diversify the company's board, including the election of 2 additional women directors and the implementation of age limits. The GC has also advanced corporate governance best practices and enhanced public disclosures, including expanding transparency in governance, compensation, and sustainability. In the past 2 years, our nominee guided the company in spinning or transitioning over $12 billion of non-core assets, repaying $5.7 billion of debt, and expanding development and redevelopment pipelines. In 2018 alone, he helped close a $605 million joint venture with Morgan Stanley on a 2 million square foot medical office portfolio and commenced $267 million of life science development projects and completed early redemption of $700 million of senior notes. Whew. Our honoree helped lead the complete restructure of the company and the recruitment and installation of an entirely new C-suite. The consummate mentor, this GC leads a team of 18 attorneys and legal professionals, including a vice president of legal, who's also nominated for an award tonight. Our honoree is a small-town Ohio boy who graduated from West Point, where he played college football, and then served as a U.S. Army Ranger before receiving his joint JD and Masters of Business Taxation from USC. He's a devoted father of 3 children, under 6, including a 3-month-old baby girl. Our honoree has been actively coaching Little League for the past 2 years, and he was so proud when his 4-year-old daughter got her first hit at a game and started running the bases with the bat still in her hands. The consummate coach ran behind her and said to drop the bat, but unfortunately when she did, she whacked 2 of his front teeth out. As you will see when this man receives his award, he really could not spare any further hits on his appearance. Sorry. But despite this unfortunate event, the story demonstrates his commitment to family life. Despite his intense work and family commitments, our honoree is also dedicated to the community and is involved in charity work, including Alzheimer's research and supporting the Ronald McDonald House through its Adopt-A-Room program at Chalk Hospital. Within the company, he's also a founding member of the Social Responsibility Committee. Please join me in congratulating the 2018 Orange County Business Journal's Public Company General Counsel of the Year, Troy McHenry, General Counsel of HCP.
Wow, for a minute there, Lindsay, I was like, who the hell are you talking about? Oh, wow. Thank you for the kind words. As you can tell, I'm extremely honored, overwhelmed actually, to be here and to receive this prestigious award. And actually humbled to be considered alongside the number of other nominees for the public General Counsel and other nominees. So with that, how about a round of applause for all of them as well? First and foremost, I would like to thank the Orange County Business Journal and Richard Riesman here for the opportunity, and especially for recognizing the important work of the in-house legal counsel function. It honestly means so much to me that the work that I'm so passionate about also resonates with others. I would not be accepting this award tonight if not for my own in-house legal team over there at table 36. Thank you. It's honestly their tireless dedication and work ethic that truly inspires me. And I share this award for them. I'm certain you hear that often, and I know it is a bit of a cliche saying, but for me, it's truly heartfelt. Any work that distinguishes me has been with them through a partnership, and I couldn't have done this without the amazing team that I have. So with that, I would like to mention them personally. We have Scott Graziano, Angela Plale, Tracy Porter, and Tracy also was nominated for Rising Star tonight, so congratulations to Tracy for that. Josh Weiss, Jan Morris, and Brittany Harris. We had some other attorneys and paralegals that weren't able to attend here, but they're an incredible support staff nonetheless. Similarly, I have to thank HCP for providing me with the platform to be able to be a general counsel. I'm truly grateful for that. Our CEO, Tom Herzog, and the rest of our C-suite. As I sit here and think, a quote comes to mind that is, fate rarely calls upon us at a moment of our choosing. Now, do you know who said that? I mean, I know it's looking at faces. I've said this a bunch of times. People are like, oh, is that Plato? You're a military guy. Is that Alexander the Great? I'm like, no, it's Optimus Prime in the Transformer movie. It's actually true. I was watching the movie with my 6-year-old, and I'm like, wow, that's kind of insightful, and it's true. Rarely do opportunities or challenges present themselves when we are prepared. Our mindset, approach, execution, and resolution of the issue is what defines who we are. That was actually me. That's not Optimus. But as Lindsay so eloquently mentioned, during my tenure as general counsel for HCP, has been quite the experience. We've weathered the transition of 3 CEOs, 3 CFOs, 2 chief investment officers, 2 chairmen of the board, and 3 new board members, and a partridge in a pear tree. In addition to a complete overhaul of the C-suite and senior executive team, we created a New York Stock Exchange publicly traded company and a spinoff of $6 billion of our assets. We achieved over $10 billion in transactions, and including, a repayment of debt that has taken us to an outlook positive. And then, as Lindsay mentioned, something that I'm very proud about in the sense of the overhaul of diversity on our board and instilling term limits. And all this has happened in the course of 2 years. And as I sit here and think about it, if we were not able to execute on these transactions, someone else would be up here talking to you tonight. But thanks to an unwavering team that jumped in head first, confidently, and without any hesitation, we were able to emerge as a stronger company. This crucible of long hours has really created a special bond with my team that has helped me become, a better person, a better leader, and a better attorney. So, as I'm rounding out the close here, don't ever hesitate to embrace hardships when faced with what seems like overwhelming odds. Just be confident in your capabilities. Don't look back, and you'll be amazed at what you and your team can accomplish. In closing, I just have a few more thank yous, so please don't start cueing that kind of send-off music just yet. A very genuine and heartfelt thanks and special thank yous go to Mark Peterson and Shelley Haydick of O'Melveny, as well as Jeff Walbridge I saw in here tonight. My dear friends, Carrie Hayden of Latham, Julie Shaver of RGP, Nikki Nguyen of End-to-End Legal, Kevin Dupree of Northwest Mutual, and I couldn't forget Gloria Lee and J.R. Seacrest of Rutan, who nominated me actually last year. There are so many others in other firms like Skadden, Gibson Dunn, Ogletree, Buckhalter, and others that have actually contributed to mine and our company's success. And you know who you are, and thank you. But most of all, this whole part I'm going to get choked up about. And last but not least, I would like to thank my beautiful wife, Angela, and my 3 beautiful children, Troy, Kylie, and Hallie. You are my inspiration. And I cannot do anything without all the love and support you provide to me, and especially going easy on me when I say that I'll pick up dinner on the way home and I don't get there until 9 o'clock. So with that, I thank you. I truly live beyond my dreams.
As I sat down, I realized that each year when I come here, I talk about the president or the former president who's running for president. I don't talk about Congress, and I really should, especially when recently I looked and saw that Congress's approval rating right now is 18. That's 18 people, I think, not 18%. And my thought for the evening is, if con is the opposite of pro, does that mean that Congress is the opposite of progress? For the outstanding general counsel of a private company, I want to introduce John Skanga. He's a partner at Kenobi, Martin, Olson, and Beer. He focuses on patent, trademark, trade secrets litigation. He's been litigating in the intellectual property area for 30 years now. He's written extensively, and he also is an adjunct professor at Chapman Law School, teaching the area of patent law.
Thank you, Dean. So glad you could make it back again. The event would not be the same without you, and we're all glad you're here. Honored to present here tonight on behalf of Kenobi Martins. Congratulations to all the nominees. You guys are in great company. It's always impressive to me as I go through the judging process to see all the tremendous talent that's attracted to Orange County to work in the in-house ranks. And folks from all over the country come here, and they get here, and they work on matters of national and international significance, and it's really impressive. Our winner tonight in the private company GC category likewise was a transplant here to Orange County. He grew up in Chicago, and not in the suburbs, but in the city of Chicago. He realized it wasn't cold enough for him there, and he decided to go off to college in Boston. You may have heard of it, Harvard. It wasn't cold enough for him there. He decided to go to law school in Indiana, University of Indiana, and despite all the street smarts from growing up on the South Side and the book smarts from Harvard, you'd think he would have figured out that it wasn't warmer there. Maybe he was just a glutton for punishment. I'm picking up on the theme here. His sense of humor, though, was never chilled. I'm gonna roast him a little bit because I've worked with him, and he has a great sense of humor, and I know he'll appreciate this. He finally, after working in Indiana, clerking for a federal judge, came to Orange County, saw the light, joined one of our sponsors here tonight, Pain and Fears, practiced there as a civil litigator, and seriously, it's been Orange County's gain ever since he got here. He's had a very long and successful career, contributing to a number of the major and vital businesses here, and throughout that time, he's always given back to the community and presented a tremendous amount of energy and insight in his role as in-house counsel in a number of these positions where they tend to be these large companies with international footprints with very significant legal issues, Toshiba America being one of them. And there's a theme that's developing here. It's either he likes working with large, sophisticated companies that have international presence and high-stakes, complex legal issues, or he likes hanging around hardware stores. There's a theme there too. He worked with James Hardie Building Products, and if you own a home that has siding, there's a pretty good chance James Hardie made it. With his current employer, you may not have heard of the company, but if you have a door lock or a faucet in your house, you probably use one of their products. Kwikset, Baldwin, National Hardware, Pfister are some of their brands. And with that company, he's become the first ever general counsel for their hardware and home improvement division that's responsible for all of those brands. And that division alone does over $1 billion a year in business, has over 4,500 employees, does manufacturing not only in the US but 4 other countries internationally, and sells in 60 countries internationally. So he's got the title there as first ever general counsel of this group, but it's been more than a title. It's really been a springboard for action. And some of the things that he's done since he's been there are to resolve a Philippine labor dispute, to acquire a $50 million a year business, to divest a portion of the Mexican business, to restructure Canadian operations, take over legal operations for all the Americas and the Asia Pacific region, to develop initiatives for data privacy and anti-corruption, to develop a system to review claims on product packaging before the products go out, to review the IP portfolio on a quarterly basis, to defend patent infringement disputes all the way to the Federal Circuit Court of Appeals, and most recently to be on the forefront of developing this company's strategy with respect to the new tariffs and how to deal with the importation of the products they manufacture overseas. I think that one of the letters of recommendation summed it up when a VP of the company called it, quote, one of the best decisions I have ever made in my career, unquote, to hire our winner here tonight, and went on to rave about how our winner's practical approach to dealing with business issues has made him a trusted advisor at his company to those folks at the C-suite level. So I hope you're getting the message that our winner is an outstanding lawyer. He's been adding value as in-house counsel every place he's been. He's highly energetic, but it just doesn't stop there with his work. He somehow has managed to find the time and energy to give back, and he's sitting now on the Irvine Unified School Board. And you don't just become a school board member, you run for elected office, and he did this, and as certification of glutton for punishment status, he not only won, served a term, he ran again and is sitting now again on the school board for yet another term. And they're only dealing with 35,000 students and a $350 million a year budget, so that's what our winner does in his spare time. And he's out there getting involved in youth sports, reffing ASO soccer games, which I think is harder than being a lawyer. Have you ever done this? The rule book is more complicated than the rules of civil procedure. And you got to make your call right there. You can't say, oh, I got to go back and do some legal research. So great credit for that. Another thing I know our winner likes to do is he's doing alumni interviews for applicants to Harvard. And again, I question, is it his spirit for his alma mater or a perverse joy in seeing Southern California kids get squeamish about, can I withstand a cold winter in Boston? Will I be able to make it through that? But we're all better off for all of these great things that our winner has been doing, and it's really special that so much of his family here is tonight. His wife, one of his daughters, he's got another daughter and a son who aren't here. His father, who I think came here to get away from the winter in Chicago, and has got a great bonus here tonight to see his son get the 2018 Private Company GC of the Year Award. It's Paul Bokota of Spectrum Brands.
Wow, thank you very much. Those, whenever people present you, they always make you sound a lot better than you are. And I know the people at the Spectrum table are thinking, that guy does not do any of that stuff. So what's awkward is when there are people here who can verify the things that you've told the nominating committee. So I don't know that the privilege applies to those stories, but hopefully it does. So thank you very much. I am truly honored. I'm surprised when you give a lawyer and an elected official a microphone with no set time limit. So that is probably the definition of assumption of the risk. But that's not enough to talk about myself, Richard. That's going to take more than that. So thank you so much, John. As John mentioned, I've had the honor of working with him for many years, and many of the folks over at Kenobi, they've saved us in many instances. John and I spent several cold days in North Dakota during patent litigation, and John has always did a phenomenal job. So thank you very much, John. I will think of things to embarrass you, and the payback will be quite brutal. I want to thank the Orange County Business Journal for this award. I've been coming to this award for many years, and it's always an incredible event. It's obviously a great time personally for people to get together. It is the lawyer prom and the chance for everybody to see friends and to get together. So look a little older than at my prom, but still here, which I guess that's good. But as the premier premier business journal and periodical in Orange County, this is a great example of how they do things to both recognize the business community, including the legal aspect of the business community, and integrate people and bring people together. So thank you to Richard and the folks at OCBJ for this event. I also want to thank all the sponsors. Obviously, everyone knows these folks. These are all excellent firms. They have many things they could do with their time, money, and effort, and they spend a lot of time sifting through the nominations, interviewing people, and putting a lot of time into that. So thank you very much for that work. I have a particular shout out to Kenobi Martins and Pain and Fears for nominating me. I greatly appreciate it. Having worked 6 years at Pain and Fears, I'm surprised that they were still able to nominate me, but apparently the incriminating pictures still are worth quite a bit. So thank you to them. A special thanks to Michelle Armand over at Kenobi. She has babysat me through this process, and she and John and the partners over at Kenobi have also helped us tremendously with patent litigation, pretty much dominating other people who sue us. So thank you to them for that as well, and for their friendship and for all of their professional help. I do want to thank the folks at Spectrum who are here. Thank you very much for coming. I know on a Tuesday night there are other things you can do. The free meal aspect was offset by I have to sit in a room with 400 attorneys. So apparently the steak won out, but I very much appreciate their being here. They have, for those of you who are in-house, one of the joys and benefits and reasons you go in-house is to be part of a good team and a great business, and to be an integral part of that. And since the time I started at Spectrum, I was immediately on the senior leadership team and very much a part of the business team, and very involved in the business decisions for the company. They allowed me to practice in the way that I want to practice, which is not to be a lawyer who works for a business, but to be a business leader who happens to be a lawyer. And those are very different philosophies. And I'm not sure how good a job I do as a business leader, but I like the fact that they allow me to do that and allow me to be a part of the business. They also have been very accommodating of my schedule as a school board member. I disappear a lot for school board meetings, for parent meetings, for Dr. Seuss Day, where I read to kids in my full-blown Cat in the Hat suit, and nothing's more embarrassing than full-blown Cat in the Hat suit. But they've always been incredibly understanding of that, and I thank them very much for that, because it allows me to really round out my life and do something that's very important to me. I do have to thank my family, Wendy and my daughter Aniela, who is absolutely now my favorite, because she's the only one who showed up. So those of you who are trust attorneys, I'm redoing the will, and there's a single beneficiary, and it's not those other two. So thank you to Wendy and my daughter Aniela. Her name means angel in Polish, and actually it is a relatively apt description of my child. Not of my other two, but of this one it is. So thank you to you for putting up with me for the late night calls to Asia, the early morning calls to Europe, and for all that you do. My brother, who's a lawyer, came out. I think he couldn't believe that his idiot younger brother was actually nominated. So he came out. So Greg, thank you. And then special thanks to my dad. My dad is here, who's 90. He was just... My dad was just in Poland, and both my parents were born in Poland, but my dad was just in Warsaw and in England by himself traveling around a week and a half ago, got back to Chicago. My wife said, oh, your son's been nominated, shockingly, and he hopped on a plane and came out here. So, Dad, thank you to that, and thank you for continuing to be at the actuarial table. Please continue to do that, because our lives are enriched by having you. A lot of people in the, I think in the law firm community often ask what in-house counsel do, and those who are more honest will actually ask, do you do anything? And because we seem to be doing all your litigation, your contracts, so they do ask that question, and I know you do, so don't say you don't, because you do. So people ask that, but the reality is that we actually do things, and I know my Spectrum business people ask that about me every day, about what do you do? But what is true that we actually do things, and I've been fortunate in my career, both as a private litigator and as an in-house attorney, to be a generalist. And some people don't like that. They like to specialize. I actually enjoy being a generalist and have been fortunate and blessed to have done that, and to be able to continue that at Spectrum, where I deal with, like many people in the room, a wide variety of issues, from antitrust, securities, employment, environmental, regulatory, product liability, all those things. And I may deal with those in different countries all on the same day. So it is an honor and a privilege to me to be able to do something that I still very much enjoy at 53, and having practiced almost 27 years, to be able to say that is a good day. And I thank the folks at Spectrum for letting me do that. And then as we struggle as in-house counsel with these issues, we obviously rely a lot on outside counsel. And I am somebody, some of you have heard me say this, and maybe it's because of my age, or maybe because I grew up out of law school with a federal judge who was kind of an old school guy, but I actually don't hire attorneys, I hire counsel. And that's actually a very different thing. And you don't want to be my attorney, you want to be my counsel. And for those of you who are just an attorney to someone, you are their vendor. You don't want to be their vendor, you want to be the consigliere without murdering people like Tom and The Godfather. So, but you want to be that. And I have been fortunate in Orange County to have found people who are not my attorney, but who are my counsel, and I cherish those relationships. Like many of the in-house people here, I hire people in law firms all over the country, all over the world, including Wall Street firms, Chicago firms, London, Sydney, Tokyo, and I say this in all seriousness, I would put the folks in Orange County in-house and in law firms against anybody in the world. And I say that with absolute seriousness and with absolute honor. This is a phenomenal community. I've been blessed to be a part of it. We have a great bench, we have a great private, and a great in-house bar. I am honored to be part of that, and the magnitude and breadth and incredible quality of that group of people makes this honor all the more valuable. Thank you very much.
We just discovered we went to the same high school. And Richard, if you're kind enough to invite me back next year, I'm not wearing a cat in the hat suit under any circumstances. My jokes may not reveal it, but I do have some pride. But I did grow up on the south side of Chicago. I'm a true Chicagoan. My dad died 25 years ago, and he's still voting in Chicago elections. And I decided I needed to tell some Chicago story after hearing he was from Chicago and now learning we really did go to the same high school. It involves Chicago Symphony Orchestra. They were playing Beethoven's Ninth. The two bass players realized that they didn't have to do anything until the end of the movement, so they decided to tie a string around their part of the score and to go out drinking. Well, they really got drunk. They really got loaded, and they never made it back, and it was a big scandal. So you know what the headline in the newspaper said? It was the bottom of the ninth. The score was tied, and the bases were loaded. Thank you. Maybe a cat in a hat suit would be better. For the Specialty Counsel Award, very fortunate to have Ernst Verdi here. He's a shareholder at Ogletree Deakin. He's a former prosecutor. He's tried both jury and non-jury trials. He has specialties in both the intellectual property area and especially in the employment law area. Specializes in resolving cases without trial, often through summary judgment, but is always ready to go to trial, as he has all across the country when that's necessary.
So I attended Dean Chemerinsky's Barbie class for law school. And he had no notes then, and he had no notes now. So it's always been amazing. But I have about 45 minutes to speak on, but Richard said no. And it said it's 2 minutes. But Ogletree's proud to be the 2018 General Counsel Awards sponsor, and it's here to celebrate this occasion with our colleagues and friends and clients. And it's with our great pleasure that I have the opportunity to present the Specialty Counsel Award. This year's recipient worked for a leading provider of facility solutions, and with revenues of approximately $5.1 billion and more than 130,000 employees and 350 plus offices throughout the United States and various international locations. This recipient is responsible for providing labor and employment advice and training for nearly 40,000 employees in 3 industry lines throughout the United States and Canada. And she partners with senior business leaders regarding business practices, company policies, and risk mitigation, essentially operating at a very, very high level. This recipient is a litigator by training and is a trial lawyer, having tried a number of cases in multiple states. The recipient manages and evaluates a significant volume of litigation, currently over 180 cases, ranging from single plaintiff to class action lawsuits to state and federal charges and compliance audits. The recipient is the only member of the legal team in the West Coast, meaning that with the presence that they have, that this recipient is operating in 2 time zones, East Coast and West Coast. The recipient is a parent to 3 children, with the oldest in kindergarten, and still finds time to be a school volunteer. This recipient took on a federal agency whose policies were effectively killing a small town in Arkansas and single-handedly saved a small town of Earl by her dogged determination and her keen mind as a litigator. This recipient received a glowing thank you letter from the mayor of Earl, Arkansas, for her efforts in helping save the community in her efforts, which led to the assistance of the Senator Boozman and the opening of a congressional inquiry, all of which for the benefit of the community of Earl. I'm so honored to present the Specialty Counsel Award to Stacey Jue, Assistant General Counsel, ABM Industries.
So much, Vince, for those kind words. I almost didn't believe those were about me. I'd had to take a few notes, but thank you so much for this tremendous honor. I'm so grateful to the Orange County Business Journal and all the Judges Committee for all your time and efforts and for recognizing me tonight. And congratulations to all the Specialty Counsel nominees. I'm truly humbled and grateful to be among all of you and inspired by all the work that you do. It's really hard to believe I'm standing here tonight. If you just saw my day today, you'd probably laugh. As many of you heard, I'm the proud mom of 3 little kids. I have Connor, who's 6, Braden, who's 3, and I have a little baby who's 10 months old, Sadie. Being a working mom and the other half of my husband who works full-time, it's tough. It's hard work. Every day is a sprint, sometimes without a finish line. But I know I would not be here today. I don't do this alone. I just want to take a moment to thank the village that helps me every day. I'd like to thank my incredible husband, Sean. He's been my biggest supporter and partner in this crazy, amazing, fun life that we've created together. And thank you to Vince and Ogletree for inviting my parents. My mom and dad are here today videoing. They've sacrificed so much to help me get here, and they're always encouraging me to pursue my dreams of not only being an attorney, but being a mom as well. When I first started my career, I remember interviewing once, and someone told me, well, Stacey, if you want to be a successful lawyer, be prepared to make a lot of personal sacrifices. And I said, game on, I'll take that challenge. I'm going to make it work. To that end, thank you to my parents for helping us so generously with my children so that Sean and I can rely on them and can continue to work. So we're very grateful to them. And ABM, I thank you to our one VP who was able to come. I support a company who's actually not headquartered in California, as Vince shared with you. So I work a lot with our C-suite, who's actually in New York and in other states. So I'd just like to give a shout out to my legal team, even though they're not here, and my colleagues at ABM. For the last 7.5 years, they've given me the opportunity to grow with the company and take on more and more responsibility. And I'm really grateful to be at a company who selected me to be their voice for labor and employment, and who gives me a seat at the table to work with really talented executives on a daily basis. And of course, in my role, I work a lot with the very best attorneys and outside counsel in every single state, and the very best in the labor and employment industry, and I wanted to thank them. So Vince Verdi and his team at Ogletree, who give us a lot of counsel and help in a lot of our labor and employment matters. And to Dan Fears and his team at Payne and Fears, who also provide a lot of work for us and help us. And also, Dan also gave me the start in my career. I was a summer associate at Payne and Fears, so thank you. And to Eric Wershing at Ross Wershing. And lastly, I want to thank my little kiddos who are at home. They've taught me the meaning of unconditional love and the importance of multitasking. I would not have learned that I could stretch myself as far as I've come and that I can keep going. Thanks to them, I know it's possible to take a 5 or 6 a.m. call from the East Coast, feed my baby, prepare lunches, remember who has crazy sock day, who has a doctor's appointment, and all before I walk in the door at 8 a.m. for my first morning meeting. Even though my shoes may not match or I have a bib on my shoulder, I am there first thing in the morning in the office. So with all of that, I know that, with that, I know that my team and I can really do anything. And so I really do dedicate this award to them and to all the working moms out there. Thank you so much for recognizing me tonight. Thank you.
I limit myself each year to telling just one lawyer joke and try to look for one that especially you who are general counsel would appreciate. A lawyer was walking across a park to go to lunch, and she was accompanied by her paralegal and her secretary. And they saw an unusual bottle, and they picked it up, and by picking it up and rubbing it, a genie came out. And the genie thanked them for releasing the genie from the bottle after thousands of years, and said in exchange, each of them could get one wish. And the secretary said, I wish I was in Tahiti sipping Mai Tai. And poof, the secretary was gone. And then the paralegal said, I wish I was in the Bahamas sipping rum. And poof, the paralegal is gone. And then the genie turned to the lawyer and said, I want them back after lunch. The next award is the Rising Star Award, and Carl Hayden is going to present that. He's a partner at Latham & Watkins. He's been the head of the corporate department at Latham & Watkins for the last 10 years. He specializes in corporate litigation, securities work, mergers and acquisitions, and general business litigation. He's handled over 75 capital acquisitions to completion. With great pleasure.
Well, first, thank you, Erwin, for the very kind introduction. It is an extraordinary honor to be introduced by one of the giants of the legal profession. And you're putting all the presenters to shame as he comes up here with no notes. He talks much more than any of the presenters, all of whom have our cheat sheets in front of us. So no surprise, he's one of the giants of our legal profession. Latham & Watkins has been a longtime supporter of the OCBJ General Counsel Awards. Richard, thank you for bringing this to Orange County. I think this is the 9th year that a group like this has come together, and it's, Mark and I were talking earlier, just the extraordinary talent that we have in this room. It has been my privilege to, as kind of one of the senior citizens of the legal community here, to see all this unbelievable growth. And as others of the presenters have mentioned, you're all so worthy of the nominations, and it's just a real privilege to have the opportunity to work with so many of you. So a round of applause to all of you, please. It is with great pleasure I have the opportunity to present the General Counsel of the Year in the Rising Star category. As I mentioned, as a senior statesman in the legal profession, I've had the privilege of seeing a lot of rising stars in my time, and see those rising stars develop into other leaders in this business and legal community that we have. And I have little doubt that this year's recipient of the Rising Star will be one of those true leaders of the legal profession here in Orange County. The honoree graduated from the George Washington University Law School. He began his career at the law firm of Fisher and Phillips, where he worked for almost 5 years. He then took his first in-house role with QBE North America, where he achieved many great successes. He then joined his current company, which has grown from 30,000 employees to 95,000 employees during his tenure. He originally brought in as employment counsel. He was soon elevated to litigation counsel, managing all the company's litigation matters. 2016, he was promoted to assistant general counsel, and then vice president, assistant general counsel in 2017. And this year's recipient of the Rising Star continues to rise. Some of the terrific things that he's been able to accomplish, I would absolutely bust my time allotment that Richard likes to impose on all of us if I went through all his successes and the things that he's achieved, but a few highlights. He reduced the amount of legal settlement for employment costs by nearly 90% during his tenure, all while the employee headcount tripled. He trained workforce compliance personnel, performing investigations into administrative charges, and has reduced the use of outside counsel by 40% compared to prior years. Not all of us are happy with that, probably. He's focused on making litigation a revenue generator rather than a cost center, achieving $6 million in affirmative recovery. Beyond being an exceptional lawyer, he's an exceptional person. He has given of his time over and over in a wide range of community matters in his church. He's done a lot of great things that are benefiting so many people that he touches. His general counsel was gracious enough to provide. General counsel happens to be an ex-Latham guy, so I was able to tap into that resource. He shared a little bit outside of the four corners of the materials that the judges receive. I learned that our honoree was the sixth of 9 boys in his family. And then he's a fan both of BYU's football team as well as the Indianapolis Colts. This has not been a great year for either, but there's always next year, right? I am told that the honoree and his wife are avid travelers. And while they were dating, they discovered that both were proud holders of the national park passports. Finally, I'm told that our honoree, and by the way, when they discovered that they were holders of the national park passports, they knew it was true love, right? So, finally, I'm told that our honoree has a sneaky but charming sense of humor. So hopefully our honoree will share a little bit of that in a few moments. With that, it is with great pleasure that I present the award for General Counsel of the Year, the Rising Star category, to Bruce Larson.
All right, well, thank you. I'm not sure if sneaky but charming is a compliment, and I'm not sure how to live up to that. But I'll I'll do my best. I have a couple words. I timed it. I got it down to a nice tight 15, so hopefully everyone can settle in. So it means a lot to get this award. It's always nice to be honored by your colleagues and peers. I think this is especially an honor given our profession. I don't think that anybody hates lawyers more than other lawyers, so to be honored by lawyers, I think it really means a lot. I've benefited a lot from the mentorship and help from a lot of attorneys, many of whom are here in this room today. It's too many to name everyone individually, but there are a couple people that I would like to single out. I think first I'd like to thank my boss, the General Counsel at Advantage Solutions, Bryce Robinson. He was nice enough to take a chance on hiring me several years ago into this really interesting, dynamic company. I won't give everyone the elevator pitch right now, but for those of you who don't know what we do, Advantage Solutions is a really interesting company. You'll never walk into a retail establishment again looking at it the same way after you talk to our people and figure out what it is we do. So hopefully that's enticed you to start some conversations later on. I'd also like to thank the legal team at Advantage, the really great group of professionals, a lot of whom are here tonight, and most of whom I really enjoy working with. I'd especially like to thank my litigation team, Mustafa El Farah, who's here tonight and joined very recently, and Carrie Russell, who's here tonight. They're both new additions, but they've done a lot and made an impact really quickly. Also, Sean Maka, who wasn't able to make it here today. She's been with us for several years now, and she's really great at telling me when I do something wrong and correcting me. They're also, as far as outside counsel, I've worked with a lot of great outside attorneys who are here in this room, out in the crowd, and up here on the stand. Thank you all for helping me look good in my job. And then last and certainly not least, probably most, I want to thank my wonderful, supportive, brilliant, and beautiful wife who I was able to convince to come here tonight and endure several hours of smiling through insufferable lawyer shop talk. But she's a good sport and she's here tonight. Just one final thought I'll leave you all with in thinking about what I might say today. I think the one thing I'd like to share, since we have here one of the few occasions where we have so many top lawyers in-house and outside counsel in one room, the thing I'd like to share is that it is really possible as an attorney to be a zealous advocate for your client and also be kind and empathetic. I've been amazed at the number of times that I have, by acting like a human rather than a lawyer, been able to de-escalate issues, de-escalate tense situations, and help adverse parties find a common ground. I've had numerous conversations that have started with me being yelled at, being called every name in the book, and more than once ended with a friend request on social media. So it can happen. And I sincerely believe that being kind, compassionate, and humane does lead to and can lead to better results for your client and for the company's bottom line. So be kind, don't lose sight of your humanity. Thank you.
This is my last time standing up tonight, so I want to use it to have us thank Bobby Dornan for his singing, Rick Sherman for the piano. I want us all to thank the wait staff for taking such good care of us tonight. I'd like to ask you to take a look at the back of your programs. It lists all of the nominees. I want to extend my congratulations to everyone who's nominated and ask for a huge round of applause to congratulate all who were nominated for these awards. And I want to thank Richard Reisman for inviting me back and again fulfilling my childhood dream of getting to host the Academy Awards. The final award is for legal team, and there's no one better to present it than Mark Peterson, who's a partner at O'Melveny & Myers. Mark started at O'Melveny in 1991. He then left to be an in-house counsel for 14 years before returning back to O'Melveny. Several years ago, when I was at UCI and we were creating a corporate counsel program, Mark was the first person I turned to, and he gave me such wise counsel and advice on corporate counsel and how to fulfill their educational needs.
Well, as we come to the conclusion of another successful Academy Awards, O'Melveny is very pleased to once again join with Dean Chemerinsky, the Orange County Business Journal, and all the other sponsors to honor tonight's nominees. O'Melveny is proud to have been a judge and sponsor of this event since its inception. It's given us an opportunity to recognize many of Orange County's finest in-house leaders and rising stars. Having spent part of my own house, as the Dean mentioned, in-house, I'd like to thank Richard and the Orange County Business Journal on behalf of all the nominees for continuing this great event. Tonight I have the privilege of introducing the Legal Department of the Year. And since this award is for an entire department, I want to make sure to invite the entire legal department up here when we announce the winner. The award celebrates the accomplishments of the entire team, from attorneys to staff and everyone in between. As you can imagine, naming a single winner in this category is extremely difficult. Each of the nominees is very deserving of this award, and the judges had a very difficult time this year trying to narrow the field down to just one winner. Many of these legal departments have had to adapt in recent years and broaden their scope as the legal and regulatory landscape has changed so significantly. Each of these teams has a strong, capable leader, a general counsel, that has moved beyond individual success to bring together a team of capable and dedicated lawyers. This award is not won by the GC, but instead is meant to recognize the entire group overseeing the legal function in their respective company, whether that department has 3 members or 300. It's often said that the knowledge base of an outside lawyer is about a foot wide and a mile deep, but the knowledge base of an in-house attorney has to be about a mile wide in order to address all the difficult issues that come over their desk every single day. The ability to recognize and deal with such a wide variety of issues, and to do so in a forward-looking and productive manner, was seen in each of the nominees here tonight. The phrase "getting to yes" was a theme that we heard over and over about each one of these nominees. And in addition to navigating all the normal activities that must be dealt with in a highly regulated international company like our winner tonight, this department also had significant M&A and finance activities and very material litigation, both domestic and international, recently. With the growth and diversification of this company, this legal department has grown in both size and complexity, operating across international time zones on virtually a 24-hour-a-day basis. This company's CEO probably summed it up best when describing the legal department. He said, "We as a company aspire to be a global leader in transforming lives with breakthrough technologies. This bold goal presents serious challenges for our organization, and fortunately, we have extraordinary leadership throughout our legal department and a dedicated team of talented, practical, results-oriented lawyers with a commitment to our success. The team's extensive institutional knowledge, record of integrity, and strategic alignment have earned my trust, along with that of our board of directors and our senior leadership team. Their passion and commitment to our patients first focus make them trusted partners that lift us in all aspects of our work. I'm pleased to announce the winner of the 2018 Legal Department of the Year, Edwards Lifesciences.
Like herding cats. On behalf of this fantastic team, I'll just take a moment to say thank you to all of the sponsors, to Business Journal for this wonderful event, to all of our friends in this room. It really is a very special community here in Orange County. I will say that this group of people, and this is just part of our team, is a very special team who's very well deserving of this honor. Any accolades that come my way don't happen without these people. We have the finest staff, the finest paralegals, and the finest attorneys that I know. They also happen to be wonderful people who live our company's mission every day. And they happen to be people I really like, and I don't take that for granted. So I don't want to keep us all longer. We can get to this after party. Again, on behalf of all these wonderful people who I want to take this moment to thank. Thank you so much for this event. Thank you for this honor. It really means a lot. One of my favorite sayings is it's not grateful. It's not, no, I'm going to get it wrong. It's not happy people who are grateful. It's grateful people who are happy. We are happy and grateful, and we thank you so much for this award. Thank you.
Unbelievable. The Business Journal puts on lots of events. Maybe it's because I'm a recovering attorney, but I think this is my favorite. It's an amazing event, and we also have an amazing MC. I mean, we're so blessed. And I'd like to ask Erwin, who's been so gracious, to come down from Berkeley. It was more obvious why he would do this when he's the dean of UC Irvine. It's his job to be in front of the legal community, and now he just does it because he's an awesome person. So please step up and. Thank you, Erwin. I hope you'll enjoy the special gift we gave you, which includes a stay at the Surf and Sand Hotel, so you can come back and just enjoy yourself. And I have to fight with Erwin to accept reimbursement for his travel down here, and he insists that he only deserves it if he was funny enough. So I just need a vote of acclamation. Was he funny enough? So good. Just send us the bill. Look, this is our 9th year, and look at the quality of the awardees. It's just unbelievable. You heard it many times how Orange County is blessed with an exceptional legal community. We have a vibrant business community that needs representation, and I think on top of that, we just have so many great attorneys here who just like the weather, and they represent clients all over the country. So when you just combine everybody, this really is a first-class legal community, and we're just proud to have you all here. I also want to thank the people at the Business Journal that makes this event run so smoothly. Carol Fox, Tiffany Benando, Melanie Collins, Kristen Porter, Jamie Derber, Summer Bowles, Angela Phillips, Bobby Dorman, Kim Lopez, Corinne Decker, Katrina Costari, Sheldon Asher, Stephen Gall, and Mikkel Petrosian. But I also want to thank our partner that goes above and beyond just as a member of the legal community to just help us get nominees. Thank you, Christina Zabit-Fran, for what you do for this event and for what you do for the community. You really make a difference, and thank you. I want to thank our vendors who are listed in the program. I also want to ask all of our award winners to step over here at the end for some photographs. And finally, please look at that Business Journal that's at your place. And on the back cover, if there's an orange dot, that beautiful centerpiece belongs to you. Thank you all for coming, and let's all get back together again next year. Erwin, in front of everybody, will you be our MC next year? So come back next year for even better jokes.